What do you do when you have a French door? You've hardened the glass the best you can with security film. You've replaced all the small little screws with the 3-inchers. You've put the bolts in each door to make it so if somebody wanted to get in and kick that door, they would have even more of a hard time. But what if that's just not good enough? What are your options? This video is on the Rolla Shield. One, they're local. They're located in Tempe and they do all the manufacturing on site. I love that. They're built right there, custom to whatever your application is. Doesn't get any better than that. Two, they are great for security for obvious reasons. Go ahead and hit my fancy remote here. It's always that last little. It's quieter on the inside when you close them. Ain't no one getting in that door. And third, they act as an additional insulation barrier against our desert heat. It gets hot on this patio. It's a southern exposure, so the sun kind of beats in this way. All of these pavers, you can't really see them, but there's pavers below my feet here. They get super hot, especially the ones that are in the sun, which is right over here off to the side. So they're an additional insulation barrier. These panels have little air pockets in them. So you have that, and then of course you have whatever window or door seal or whatever you have set up. Our door seals, we know they're crap. They've worn out. I've replaced them a couple of times, but I just kind of know, especially in the winter, which is kind of weird, but I can, when we have the heat on, I can put my hand up to them and I can feel the air kind of blowing in. It gets better if I deadbolt the door, kind of keeps it a little bit, the seals a little bit more secure, but I know that this is going to prevent any cold air in the summertime from escaping out. So it's keeping the hot out, keeping the cool in. And Rolla Shield has documentation to prove it. I haven't been through a summer yet to prove that, but I'm sure it's true. How could it not be true? It just makes sense that you have an additional barrier like that. It's going to help with the insulation, with this insulation value of those doors. And lastly, but most importantly, we sleep really good at night, knowing that our doors are secure with this Rolla Shield. My wife joked, when I bought them, she was like, okay, makes sense, but not super happy about, and she was really kind of more paranoid about this box up here at the top. She's like, it's gonna be ugly, it's gonna be ugly. I had the installer install the box all the way up to the roof, so there really isn't much of a gap up there, which does really help with the look of the box being that high, but you still see it, of course. They can adjust the color of this frame and the actual shield that comes down. I picked the color, was close sand, which is pretty close to the color of our house for the frame. And then our doors were white. So I thought, well, I'll just stick with the white because it's kind of a going theme because of the white doors that were there before. But she was at work and she comes home, they're all installed. I demonstrated them for her and they came down and she's like, oh. And then she's like, it's kind of like that movie, The Purge. I just couldn't help but crack up. I was like, you know what? It's almost exactly like the movie, The Purge. The siren goes off and down come the actual shields to keep all the crazy people out. Well, that's why I bought them. Keep the crazy people out. I do a lot of videos on personal defense, you know, the rifles, the handguns. things that you should do when you're out and about, keeping your wits about you, kind of looking around, self-awareness, that kind of thing, situational awareness. And I really haven't addressed how to fortify your house, because that's important. You're never going to be able to prevent someone who really wants to get into your house to getting in your house. If they really wanted to get through this roll of shield and they had the time to do it, they're going to get through the roll of shield. But it's all about slowing them down, giving you inside the opportunity to prepare. However you choose to prepare for that, it gives you time. So as they're out here and they're trying to get through this roll of shield, they're spending 5, 10, probably 2 hours trying to get through the shield. They'll probably just go to not my neighbor's houses, the city over. They'll go to Phoenix and deal with somebody there without a roll of shield. But it just slows the bad guys down so that you have a chance inside the house to prepare. And if they're that persistent to get into your house, I'm guessing they probably aren't, busting in to say hi and have a snack on the couch with you and watch a movie on Netflix. They have bad intentions. So the more time that you can give yourself and your family to prepare for something like that, the better. And these are incredible. What's also nice, and we kind of discovered this after we moved into the house, we have these French doors. Let me go ahead and raise this up. And one of the nice things about this shield is that you can stop it in that position, any position you want really, but it might be hard to see on camera. But between these slots, and they all pretty much get crunched together and that gap gets pretty much eliminated, but there's little slots there where light can get through. So if you decide to just keep them just barely up to where all these little gaps are the only thing that's visible, but they're still more or less in the down position, you still get a little bit of light in so it's not complete blackout. I love blackout personally. I love the fact that no light gets in there. But if you wanted to have a little bit of light trickling in, that's definitely an option. And of course you can continue to raise them up. And out of the way here. They're not super noisy. Like I said, it's quieter on the inside, but that's it. They get up, they get out of the way, and when they're down, it just gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling. Not a cold prickly, I'm aging myself, but I really do like them. I think that the company does a fantastic job. The installer was phenomenal. They are a little bit on the expensive side. I went with the expensive option because I could see myself putting more of these on my house. I don't have them on every window. So I could see myself putting more on my house. And if you go with this fancy Bluetooth option, you can set it up to where you hit the down button at night, say you're going to bed, you hit the down button and it operates all of the blinds at the same time. That's truly as purge. Where everything comes down. And I didn't know how many I was going to get. And to have it upgraded later was more expensive because they would have to change some of the gizmos in the actual shield itself. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to pay the extra money and just get the Mac Daddy version. This, of course, they build them custom to your door size or your window size. This was about $2,500, so it wasn't cheap. But it is custom. I was able to pick the color of this, kind of match the house, and you can see the door's white. So that's why I went with the white actual shield. Kind of wanted to stay with the same theme. But you can get any color. There's a bunch of different colors that you can choose from. Again, it's totally custom. And then it takes them maybe 2 hours to install once they have them built. Mine was supposed to take about 6 weeks to build and then install, but I lucked out. They had a cancellation and they knocked them out in about 3 weeks. So I didn't have to wait a ton of time to have them installed. And then the guy that came out was awesome. He was amazing. Really nice guy, knew what he was doing, was respectful to my property, which is one of the big things I look for in installers. You know, do they leave a mess after they leave? He didn't. And the company, the main office, working with them, they always kept me updated on what was going on with them, which I appreciate because you're spending this kind of money. You kind of want to be kept in the loop, and they did. They did a really good job of that. So they're A+ company, and they're in Tempe, Arizona. And if you really want to know how these guys are built, from what I understand, I didn't do it myself, but you can actually take a tour. So you can go down there and they'll show you their manufacturing facility. They build them right here in Tempe. And you can kind of get an inside scoop on what really goes into making your roller shield. And the installer said there is another company in town. He didn't really want to get into it, but he goes up to a lot of those customers and tries to fix their version of this shield. And usually they just end up getting rid of the other ones and putting in the roller shield in its place. He said he's still working and servicing 25-year-old roller shields. And he goes, sometimes it's the first time we've ever been there. The engine, which, you know, if you're opening and closing them once in the morning, maybe a couple times during the day, once at night, you kind of think moving parts wear out. So I was a little concerned about that. But he's like, nah, we really don't have a problem with the motors. We really don't have a problem with the mechanism itself. We just don't have problems with our shields. Because again, they build them themselves. So they know how to put it together for it to last. And they don't, I'm sure, want service calls either. That looks bad on them. And they just don't get that many, which was another selling point for me. So it should keep my house cooler in the summer, warmer in the winter, if we had winters. Keeps that, once it's down, it blacks out the room, which is really nice. Obviously, the security aspect of it is huge for me. So I'm just sold on it. I thought I would share it with you guys, just kind of give you a heads up that you have a company like Roller Shield right here in Tempe. So if you're thinking about something like this, I think they're an awesome option. So give them a jingle.